Hi friends, welcome to Together Run 28. I want us to begin, as we always do, with touching some element of nature, and then I'll explain the rest of the concepts of this run and talk through it a little bit more for anyone who's new. So let's go ahead and touch something that is natural, or ground yourself somehow if you're standing on a treadmill, just touching the dirt right now. It's a little bit wet from raining all night. Okay, we're ready to begin. In 3, 2, and 1. Now again, today, as it was last week, it's a little bit windy. And I've just realised I forgot my headlamp. That wasn't very smart. Okay, friends, you're going to have to be patient a minute while I go grab my headlamp. You can keep going. I am going to put my phone down and go grab it. Running for real, right? Okay, putting this on, getting the strap of the luminescent, what is that the word? The thing that keeps me being seen. Putting this headlamp over my head, my watch is still running, so hopefully you are still too. Okay, and we're off. Okay, so you should have been running for just over a minute already. Don't know how I forgot that. But I think I was saying it's windy again today, but I was told you can't really hear it. So I'm going to go for it again because it's been raining the last few days. So I've been unable to record. I think it's meant to rain again tomorrow. So we're just going to go for it and see how we end up. Okay, so if you haven't been with us for a Together Run before, welcome. Exciting you are joining us. I don't normally start the run by putting you down and going to get something from my house, but being that it is so dark, kind of important for me to have these 2 items. Although the regular listeners know, there have been quite a few occasions where either my headlamp has died or I have forgotten it or something, and I've been running around in the dark. So it can be done, but I always feel more comfortable with it. And I would imagine you would too. Okay, so with this Together Run, we are going to begin by checking in with our bodies, with our minds, some updates from me, and as well as what you would tell me and updates for you. Then we will have a conversation, and I have some good things for us to talk about today. So we'll have a conversation, we'll do some more check-ins, and we'll do some strides. And maybe some more body check-ins along the way, we'll see. But the whole point of these are to get as close as we can to running with someone without actually doing it, being me. But also to make this more of a meditative process for us all. Because running, at least in my case, can quite often be about, you run, you run, squeezing it in quickly, you're kind of thinking about other things you got that day, or you're just kind of getting on with it and not really paying attention to how your body is, how your heart and soul are. And so this is a way to reconnect with that and just be reminded of what we're doing, but as a group. So we're doing this together. And the history of it was, they were originally called guided runs, because I thought of it as more of almost like a meditation. But then I really saw the power of how much people were enjoying it just being together, like the idea of us being together. And I'll ask you at some point to take a picture of yourself doing this, or what you see. And I do that not to embarrass you or to judge the way you look. I woke up probably 20 minutes ago, so I don't care. It's for me to like envision who I'm running with, and it makes it easier for me to keep motivated with these. So yeah, trying to decide, let's do our body scan, and then I have a few announcement things to tell you that aren't really updates but more announcements. Okay, so let's, for those who haven't done this before, a body scan. We're going to start at the top of our head. I'll let you know when to start. I'm going to call out different parts of your body, our bodies, and you're just going to feel them. Just be aware of them, bring your awareness to that area as we work down through the body, and just check in with each part of you. And if something I don't mention is jumping out to you, settle on that for a second, see how that feels, because that part's obviously important to you today. Okay, so starting at the top of the head, scanning down through your forehead, your ears, nose, jaw, back of your head, going into your neck, back of your neck, coming round to the front, going into your collarbone, your shoulders, going down your arms, the upper arm, lower arm, into the wrist and the fingers and the hand. Make sure, as we've talked about many times before, you're holding them loose. I like to rest my thumb on the middle section of my first finger. That's also a good place for you. Go for that. Continuing on, going back into your chest, into your stomach, your lower back, into your hips and pelvis, glutes, going down into the tops of your legs, your quads and hamstrings, going round to the front of the knee, the back of the knee, going into your calf and shin, working your way down to your ankle, into the heel, your arch, top of your foot, and your toes. How's everything feeling? Okay, thank you for taking the time to check in with your body. That's important. And what about mentally? How are you? If I were to ask you exactly how you were feeling, and if you had the courage to say it to me in person, what would you say? I shouldn't say if you had the courage. If you were comfortable telling me, what would you say? Or just think about it yourself if you prefer to, if you're a private person who doesn't like sharing about those things. What do you think? Just allow yourself to explore that for a minute. If you're done, dig a little deeper. What else is going on? Okay, thank you for opening up your heart, for sharing with me, for taking the time to check in with your body and mind. What would I say to that question? Well, my daughter's sick, so there's a cold, so feeling a little, maybe like a smidge irritated. Just, we always let her sleep in our bed. Well, by the way, we never let her sleep in our bed until like 6 months ago. She's almost 4. When we kind of made this rule of because my girls share a room, when one of them, well, primarily just the older one, when she's sick, the first night we have her in with us because she, makes those whiny crying noises, and we didn't want to wake up Chloe. So anyway, so smidge feeling that. I'd say I'm feeling excited about New York next weekend. I've made possibly too many plans. Guess we'll find out. But plans to see some people. Not doing any live events, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Because they just take up a lot of energy. I'm really wondering now if I am, in fact, an introvert. I've always not thought I wasn't, but those events do take a lot of energy out of me, whereas like one-on-one conversations don't. So anyway, feeling excited and eager for New York. Also feeling hopeful, a little bit more hopeful from watching. I watched the congressional, I don't even know if this is the right term, the congressional hearings yesterday, where the 6 big fossil fuel, I don't know what you would call them, I would call them evil. The big 6 fossil fuel heads, CEOs, were being I don't even know what the word is, asked by members of Congress questions about this information campaign about climate. And it was pretty satisfying to watch people advocating for the rest of us, knowing that COP26 is going on as you listen to this. And we have to do it. Like, we have to do something this time around, and without, America can't say do something if America isn't doing it itself. So while it was kind of a little comical to hear the oil giants like spinning answers rather than directly answering a question, it did leave me feeling that we have good people who are trying to make climate a priority and trying to make the oil giants do what they're supposed to be doing. And related to that, I'm still feeling pretty upset about Stephen Donziger. If you haven't read up on him, please go do it. This is not some weird random, he actually is a totally weird random person. I have no affiliation to him, but I feel really connected to him. He's an environmental lawyer who won a $11 billion case against Chevron in 2011, and this week Chevron finally got what they wanted and they put him in jail. I just read up on it. I'm not going to say any more. Look at it your own way. But it is pretty. The UN has said it's like he should be compensated for the way he's been treated. Amnesty International spoken out about him. It's pretty gross, horrible. And I'm debating whether to go visit him if I can in prison. He did request that a few months ago if he did end up going in. So that's weighing on my heart. Like, I've never been to prison, never thought about going to prison, but I do really feel like an environmental lawyer who won a case for people in the Amazon rainforest where Chevron spilled oil and didn't clean it up, or, left the oil all over the place. So they still can't drink the water today. And he basically fought for them so they could have Chevron pay to clean up. But anyway, just go read up on him. I'll put his name in the show notes. Stephen Donziger. Okay, I'm sorry, friends. I got way off tangent there. Okay, apologies. This is becoming not a normal together run right now. I'm going way off script. A few more things I just want to say. New York City Marathon. We are hosting, Running for Real is hosting a watch-along, and the team has been working really hard on this, and it looks fantastic what they have planned. So, as you know, if you're racing it, let me know your bib number, and I'll have them add you to the list of people tracking. But as we all know, when you don't go to one of these bigger events, even if it's not something you typically want to do, you always end up on that day like, oh, that would be so fun. And so for that, we've created a watch-along. The community is going to be on Zoom together, have little breakout sessions to discuss what are your dream races, what do you want to do in the future running wise, also like talking about predictions. But I just want to highlight, this is not going to be primarily about which elite runners are running. This is about maybe a little bit of that, but also just within our community. And I'm going to plan on jumping on from the start line, near the start line. Don't think they'd be very happy if I grabbed my phone out and was filming myself as the race is about to go. But near the start line, I'll be filming so you can experience it. And I just think it's going to be a great event. So there's a link in the show notes to the New York City Marathon watch-along. The community will be there. We would love to have you. And my team has worked so hard on this. So I'm really excited to see what turns out. And it would be a good chance for you to meet other runners. If you love these together runs for the connection, that's another way to go get that. All right, so we're going to do a census check-in, and then I have one more piece of advice I want to ask you about. And then we'll get back to regular programming again. Okay. Just a car looking at me. Hold up. Okay. All right, we are going to begin our census check-in. So that means we are going to work through our 5 main senses, starting with our taste and our smell, and we'll work our way around. So to begin this, as we always do, we just take a nice deep breath. Take one more. The deep breath actually isn't really anything to do with anything. I just think it's good to kind of ground us and remind us that we're breathing. Because sometimes we get so in our rhythm that we forget that the whole time we're running, our body is just breathing in and out consistently. And it's only when we go up a hill and we're like that we realise that we are, in fact, still breathing. So I like to do a few deep breaths just to remind us of that in a moment that we're not struggling with it. Okay, so I want you to take a taste, if that's the thing. Tell me what you taste. And smell. Add the smell to that. What do you smell? I actually smell like petroleum. Is that just in my brain? Or has there been some kind of spill of petrol around here? What do you smell and taste? Okay, next we're going to do hearing. So, when I tell you to, you're going to remove your headphones and you're just going to listen to your sounds for just a little bit, 30 seconds or so, and you're going to listen into what noises you hear, if it's safe to do so. If you don't want to touch anything right now, you can just listen in my sounds and notice what you hear here. And yeah, let's just check in. So off you go. Okay, what'd you hear? Anything you wouldn't normally notice because you just, even though you run these loops, these areas with number 4, you just don't stop to think about them? For me, I heard me stepping on the leaves that have fallen because it's the fall. So I'm stepping on the leaves and I can hear them there quite often, most steps. But normally I'd never pay attention to that. Okay, next we're going to do a sense of touch or feel. Should learn the names of the actual names of these. I don't think I know any of them. Auditory, is that the hearing one? I don't know. Vestibular, what does that mean? Did I say that earlier? I feel like I did. I don't know. Once again, running for real. Okay, let's begin with our sense of touch. You're just going to be in your body for a little bit. Just going to notice what sensations you feel, be it on the inside or the outside, be it changing or consistent. What do you feel? I should add, try not to, if you can, try not to add stories to them when you think about why that is or why it could be. Just try and feel the sensations. Just give you a few more seconds. Okay. What'd you feel? The reason I mentioned about stories is because that's where my brain went to when I thought the first thing that jumped out to me was that my phone, my hand holding the phone is cold. And it's 50, feels like 48 right now. So that got me thinking about a story of what am I going to do when it gets colder. Because our brain loves stories. We love stories. And actually, I've read some interesting stuff. And again, if someone reminds me, I can put it in the show notes, from Malcolm Gladwell about why we love stories, and the fact that that's actually why there's quite a lot of struggle in getting messages across right now, because presenting facts to people doesn't often work, or doesn't always work, I should say, because a lot of people, all of us really, but some more than others, need a story to go with it, not just numbers or evidence. We are visual beings, we love stories. So just think about that next time you're trying to educate, talk to someone. Weave in a story, don't just throw numbers at them. Especially with the week we've had in the running community in terms of coaches weighing athletes, measuring their body fat percentages. As you know, if you've known me for a long time, I'm not a big fan of numbers in our sport. And so, yeah. Okay, but anyway, so back to the watch-along quickly on that note. So doing this watch-along together will not be just about, who's running this time, but like the fact that let's talk about Molly Seidel loves beer. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Shalane's journey to doing these 6 marathons. Let's talk about, I don't know, someone else who is running the marathon. Nasara, if you're listening, is running the marathon. What else do we... what story do we know around those people? We have the conversation about it. That's the plan of the watch-along. Another reason to join. Okay, and finally, with our 5th sense, we are going to look at our sight. We overuse this sense. That's why I left it till last. But with this, I really want you to try and pick something out that is a small detail. It doesn't have to be different to... If you've been doing these together and for a while and you do them on the same place every time, you may be getting to a point where you can't pick out something new. Although this is definitely further along than it usually is. So maybe. But I want you to pick a small detail. Pick something that is intricate. Intricate, right? That's the word. Why can't I think of words today? And pay attention to that. And I'm not going to guide you this time. Just let your sight go where it wants to go and pick in on details on those areas. And obviously be safe. Okay, let's just go with that for a minute. Okay, all right, we're going to do something a little different for a minute. 30-minute group, you've got a minute and a half before you stride. We're going to take a minute. When your mind was looking at the sights, did it try and create a story of some kind? Did it try and loop you off into a direction? Just follow one of those for a minute. Follow your story. See what your brain would have come up with had you not stopped it to go to the next thing. What did it tell you? For me, I noticed the many cracks in the road, and it took me down the path of where I live. There's cracks in the road, yes, but once the road gets to a certain condition, it will be repaved. And That's a privilege thing. That's a indicator that I am in a position that not as many other people are. And does the road need to be fixed for cracks? Yeah, should be. Could that money be used elsewhere? Probably. Just that's where my mind went. Okay, 30-minute group. When you hit the 30-minute mark, you're going to come to a walk. We'll give you a minute to get your breath, and then we're all going to do 2 strides. I'll explain that in a minute. So come to a walk, and that's our Census Check-In. I want to quickly, while you're taking a minute, talk about the New York City Marathon. Thinking I really would love to do a together run with people in the community in New York. So going for a run, I'm doing 2 shakeout runs while I'm there. Not my own. I'm going to the Tracksmith one, which is 9 a.m. on Saturday, and the Strava one, which is 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. If you want to join me, I'd love to have you, because I was imagining what would it be like if we did a together run in Central Park, interviewing people who are running, hearing their stories, just small, like 5 minutes of talking to that person. I want to know, please, please, please respond to this together run. Send me a message, send me an email, something. Would you want to hear something where you're in New York and where you get to, where the together run is in Central Park? So yes, it's probably going to be loud, but I get to interview people in the community. Now, that's obviously going to take out a lot of the usual elements of, I can still do the body scan with everyone, but it's going to just be a bit more hectic, you know? These are mostly very calm and peaceful and quiet and introspective, whereas this is going to be more vibrant and energetic. So please, let me know when you go sign up for the watchalong, and you just respond to this and let me know, because our team is having a discussion about it, of whether it's a good idea. So please, I would love to hear from you. All right, 30-minute crew. We're going to do, well, everyone, we're going to do 10 to 15 seconds of striding out. That's not taking big steps, just moving your legs faster than before, higher cadence, more steps. So we're going to begin that now. 3, 2, and 1. Just need to go 10, 15 seconds. That's it. And I'll give you a walk. Okay, come to a walk. Should be doing those at about 80% of what a max sprint was. Should have said that before, so apologise if you did that one too hard, but you had a long break after you finished running. We're going to do another one in just 30 seconds or so, and then 30-minute crew, you can be on your way. And then 45 and 60, we're going to continue on and have some interesting topics to talk about. Something has inspired me to talk about these things, so we're going to go do it. Okay. All right, are we ready to begin another stride in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog or a walk. And 30-minute group, thank you for joining me. Just go check out those links in the show notes. Remind me if I forgot any of them. I'll see you, well, maybe next week for a New York version of the Together Run, or maybe just a regular one. We'll see. Thanks, friends. Okay, 45-minute group. Let's have a bit of a conversation, shall we? And 60s. Okay, so I was listening last week to Goldstein on Brene Brown's podcast, and they were talking about his podcast that he has called Films to Be Buried With, and he was talking about the show that he hosts where he has people on. He has had Brene on, and the kind of whole thing is like you pretend you've died, you talk about how you died, and then you talk about films that impacted you throughout your life. And so Brett will ask questions about it. And so I thought it would be fun today, maybe if we answered some of those questions, to see what our answers would be. So I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about your answer, what you would say, and then I'll do mine. I did actually find this really hard. I feel like this is something that you need a bit of time to process. So you may not be able to answer in the moment and may have to, come back to me in a few weeks and be like, I just thought about what this answer is. So that's okay. I didn't feel I could very easily come up with it in the moment. But obviously every guest on the show knows that and they've had that time to think. Okay. So, what should we begin with? Let's go with a film that made you cry the most. That's one of the questions. Starting on a sad note, obviously. What would you say? I don't know why I started with this one, because I actually found it really hard, because I know there's some that I have struggled with, cried a lot in, and I'm not actually typically a crier in movies, but I know there have been some that hit me really freaking hard. But the one that comes to mind is just Titanic, when Jack drowns. And I know that's really cliche and boring, but for me that is the one that came to mind. And also because it was the song played, well, this is probably more the reason, it was the song played at the funeral of a friend I had when I was 11 who passed away from cancer. So that's probably more why that one is emotional for me. My heart will go on. But yeah, what would you say there? Okay, let's pick another one. What is the film that taught you the most about life, about what you just grew as a person from it? Okay, my answer, I would have to go with, even though there's definitely more recent ones that come to mind, but I'm going to go with the first one that really feels like that for me, which was the movie The Butterfly Effect. And I feel like that taught me, when that came out, that, your actions, as small as they may be, can change things, be it good or bad. Like, you have power to change things, and also that worrying about what you should have, could have done isn't changing anything, because it's going to happen. I really like that movie for that reason, that the whole thing was he had to keep going back to to try and change things, but he just couldn't. And just showing that, yeah, every tiny little thing we do, it's kind of almost took the pressure off me, like, rather than feeling like I had to constantly fix everything, do everything for everyone. It's like, you know, you do what you can in that single moment, and that's all you can do. So yeah, I would say that one. All right, let's take a moment for a body scan. I just want you to do this on your own. Let's do another scan through from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Running. Okay, and yeah, thank you for checking in with your body again. I'm realizing with these questions it's a lot more enjoyable to hear two people discussing them, right? than to just do it me asking you. So maybe this isn't as fun as I thought, but we're going to continue on with a few more once we, in the 60-minute group, 45-minute group, you can walk along afterwards and keep listening if you want to. But I want to pause there and just do our update section. If you've never run one of these before and I said to you, tell me a bit about you, what would you say? And if you have run with me every week, if I said, how's your week been? What would you say? Let's just think about what your answer would be for just a minute, and I'll give you mine. Okay, about done. Great, thank you. Okay, so for me, I wish I could hear what you said. I would try and respond appropriately to whatever it was, but as I can't hear it, I'm just going to say thank you for sharing. As for me, I told you quite a lot of it earlier, of updates, but today, as I record this, I'm planning on going down to a climate rally in downtown St. Louis to encourage the bigger banks to stop funding the fossil fuel companies. So, kind of a bit nervous about that. That's something I'm going to be doing. I have been working this week on getting things done book-wise, closing in on finishing edits of chapters, and also we finished a Running Realised episode, bonus one, which is coming out on Wednesday next week, so I'm excited for us to put that out there. And otherwise I try to do Halloweeny things with my girls. Bailey is still obsessed with Halloween, so it was fun to do. We took them to what they call here Boo at the Zoo. St. Louis puts like loads of Halloween and Day of the Dead stuff in the zoo, and it was pouring with rain last night, but we enjoyed it. So that's me. Okay, got about 20 seconds left for the 45-minute group. We'll give you about 30 seconds to walk, and then we're gonna do some strides. If you're in the 60-minute group, you can definitely keep running. And yeah, can't believe that's already that time. Okay, come to a walk, we'll give you 30 seconds, and we'll do some strides. I feel like this run has flown by. I was thinking about it the other day. You know, Halloween decorations are out everywhere, and a lot of them are creepy, right? If you go in the evening, you would feel, you get that like kind of, I guess it's some version of anxiety, nervous feeling. But then in the evenings, looking at creepy stuff. But then I run these streets every day, and I just see them, and I'm like kind of see that shadow of something. What is that? And I'm like, oh yeah, Halloween decoration. It's just, there's not as much kind of like factor as I would think there would be. Okay, let's do our stride in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog or a walk. We'll do one more. Give about 30 seconds recovery. We'll go again. Okay, we ready to go again? In 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or walk. 45-minute crew. If you appreciate these runs, what I do out in the world, you can go support us on Patreon, or support Running for Real on Patreon. You can leave a review on iTunes, and you can share this. Oh, we never took a picture. Oh, take one now. If you're in the 45-minute crew, take one now. If you're in the 60-minute group, we'll take one at the end of ours. Take a picture, share it out. That's how most people have found these. A lot of people have found these, and it really helps me. So take a picture of you saying you enjoyed this and share it around. Use the hashtag TogetherRun28 so people can keep track of which one you were on. Yeah. And then also check out the watchathon, watchalong, and what was the other thing I mentioned? Remember, there's a Tracksmith shakeout at 9 a.m. and a Strava shakeout at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday in New York if you are there. Oh, and please let me know if you think I should do the Together Run in Central Park with other runners, interviewing other runners. Okay, thank you for joining me, friends. See you next week. Sorry, I have a lot of notifications today. No sponsors, but like 15 messages. But this is a way that if you were running with me, that's what I would tell you, wouldn't I? So, and if you were running with me, you would probably come or do whatever event I had going, or do the request I had, because you were right there. So I know I'm asking you an extra step, but I appreciate it. Okay, getting back to our movies. What's the funniest movie you've ever saw? Got your answer? Okay. For me, there's two movies that come to mind for kind of different reasons. One is Elf, because I do find that funny endlessly, year after year. And the one that actually comes to mind the most is, I don't know how many of you will have seen this, but Team America, which is a movie that came out using puppets, and probably, I don't know, like 2010. And it was maybe even earlier than that. There was these puppets that were Team America, and they would go in and, I'm really going to probably offend people with this, but I did find it really funny because it's very true, at least in my experience. And it was about how these little team of puppets would, something would happen in a country, and these little puppets would come in and go, ready for me to sing? Those of you who know this movie know what I'm going to sing. I'm going to swear. So if little ones are around, turn the volume way down. This is your warning. I'm about to swear. You'll be like, America, fuck yeah, America's... I don't even want to say the rest. There's more swearing. Let's just go with that. Anyway, that movie really made me laugh because it had been my experience of what I'd seen of America, and it was puppets, and that shouldn't have been funny, but I did find it funny. Probably not the funniest movie I've ever seen, but that's the one that came to mind. Next, I'd love to ask you, what is the movie that you found the least funny? So think about that for a minute. Or the stupidest movie you ever saw. Got one? Okay. For me, I really don't like slapstick comedy where it's just, people falling over and just doing things that, I don't know, a lot of American sitcoms I don't like. But the one that comes to mind is, I can't even remember the name of it, but I remember it was in a supermarket. It was Seth Rogen. And it was some of the produce or some of the food was trying to find some of the other food. I want to say it was a hot dog was involved, but I can't even remember. But it was I just didn't find it funny at all. And I came out of the movies and was like, ugh, that was a waste of my time. So that was mine. We'll do one more in just a minute. But let's take a moment as we're thinking hard and going off topic. Let's take a moment to pick one of your senses and just hone in with that. See what you can hear, or what do you see, pick some details. Let's just focus on one sense of your choice for just a minute. Okay, Thank you. Hopefully you noticed something different to last time you did that sense during this run. And I want to ask you now, how's your body feeling compared to the beginning? How's your body overall? You don't have to do a body scan, but overall, how is your body feeling? And how about your mind? Possibly not as relaxed as usual. This run's been a little more scattered, as is my brain right now. Okay, I want to ask, let's go to the one I should have asked at first, which is, what is the first movie you remember watching? I actually had a really hard time with this one. I couldn't remember one before being about 5 or 6. Maybe that was the first one I saw, but I feel like I would have seen movies well before that. What was the first movie you remember seeing? Got an answer? Okay, for me it was Lion King. I remember being really sad, obviously. I think that was one of the first moments I remember feeling sadness, when Mufasa died. Yeah, I remember feeling that, just like, maybe it was like a rush of empathy, of like helpless for Simba and how that felt. But yeah, I think that was the first movie I remember. And kind of almost comes to mind with the cry one as well, because I do remember feeling like I wanted to cry, or maybe I did cry, but being about 5 or 6. On that note, yeah, I think we'll save some more for another day. But you can think of, maybe, why don't you, if you have movie questions like that, you can submit to the group that I can ask everyone on another run. That'd be great. But I know I've already given you enough directives for today. Yeah, I really want to ask the last one, but okay, I'm just going to ask you. We're going to do this amongst our strides, okay? So we're going to do a stride. Ready? In 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog. You're not allowed to walk yet. We're not at 60. The movie. What is this movie that scared you the most? Now, I'm going to answer quite straight away, just on time, but I want you to think about it for you afterwards. For me, 2 ways. One, I would say WALL-E scared me the most, because I really could see every day the future that is WALL-E, with how much trash we are piling up on this world, that we are going to end up like WALL-E. And with our technology, that scares me on a moral level. I've talked about WALL-E before, I'm sure. I really think it's coming true. And like, by and large, Amazon, it scares me. But the other one that comes to mind is Jeepers Creepers, which was the first scary movie I went to see in the movies. And we went in, my friend Tracy and I, when we weren't the right age. And we went in, and I remember it was really scary for me, age 14. So those are the two. Now I want to ask you what you would think, but first let's do a stride. 3, 2, and 1. And come to a walk. Let's connect back in by touching nature. Touch something alive. And touch a bit of dandelion that's probably been peed on by a dog. But that's a living, was living at some point, right? Kind of. Thank you for joining me today. I know there's a ton of things I mentioned. I mentioned about COP26. I mentioned to take a picture. I'll remind you of that last. I mentioned the watchalong. I mentioned whether you want to do a New York City run. There's plenty of other things I mentioned. Brett Goldstein on Brene Brown. I know I said a lot today. And thank you for listening. Please go read up on COP26. Stephen Donziger. Please go read up on Stephen Donziger. It is just sick. Put links in the show notes to all of those. Let's just take a picture quickly. So let's stop. Take a picture. I don't care what your view is. Don't care what you look like. I just want to see you. And share that to social media. Thank you so much for joining me, friends. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on New York, and look forward to hearing how the watch along goes. Let's enjoy it together. Thanks, friends. Before we end this episode, I just want to take a moment to shout out my podcast editor, Jeremy Nessel, who has done such a wonderful job of looking after my podcast, taking out all the mishaps in the episodes, while still keeping in the vulnerability and the realness and the rawness of the conversation. This is not one of those podcasts where I take out the ums and the ers and the sometimes the delay in words, because I think it's very important to keep that authenticity. We're surrounded by perfected and manicured everything, and I think it's really important that Running for Real stays that way. So thank you to Jeremy for your work. I also want to thank Maria Vargas and Amber Moore, who are also part of my team. They've been a big part of this community and me being able to build this brand. So just want to give them a shout out too. All right, let's get right back to the end of this episode.